Hey everybody, welcome to Olympic Minds Leadership Beyond Limits. This is for those leaders who want to be a leader of leaders, a visionary of visionaries, the person who really believes in the difference between success and significance. So they want to move to that place where they're significant and they're leaving legacies behind. This is for the person who wants to move from mediocrity to mastery. So hey, I'm Sherry Wynn, two-time Olympian, national championship basketball coach, CEO of the Winning Leadership Company, author of hopefully coming out 2 more books within the next week. So 5 books altogether and many other books I've contributed to. So I want to let you know, look, this is not theory. We're not going to hear theory. This is grit tested, heart proven, and results driven information you're going to hear today from Alex. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Alex. He's the CEO of YouMail. And what I found interesting is when I had a conversation with Alex about my other book that's coming out, Winning Business Secrets, there was so many powerful moments in that conversation. I was like, oh my gosh, I was taking notes. I was like, I need to know this, I need to know this, I need to know this. And he's also got 20 patents. 20 patents. Can you imagine 20 patents? I don't even, one would be amazing, but he has 20 patents out there between, I want to say, security and telephony. Is that correct, Alex?
Telephony, that's correct.
Okay, see, I said it wrong, so I'm glad that see, that's why I don't have a patent. And so I'm going to let Alex, tell you a little bit more about himself.
Sure. So I'm a telecom entrepreneur. And so I founded a company with a couple other folks a while ago, which was basically Siri over a regular phone. You could just call up, say by voice what you were interested in and find that information, whether it's the price of a bicycle or weather. And we did this before smartphones were a thing. About 10 years later, Apple did Siri. So that was a nice company. We sold it to AOL. It became the basis of accessing AOL by voice. I did that for a while. After that, I got involved with this company, YouMail, which originally was a communications company, but has morphed into a security company. And we've seen a lot more success after we pivoted a few times into basically protecting America's phone numbers. So we have an app for consumers that they can use, download, blocks calls, texts, helps them out there. But really importantly, we take all the data we get on what's going on with the phone network and we sell it to carriers to help them find the bad guys and turn off the guys that are putting those calls and texts and other things onto the network in the first place. So that's
I could use you in a million different ways, right? I mean, how many texts, how many emails do I get? I'm like, And the ability to just scam right now is getting really scary because of AI. Right. And so because AI can in an instant create a website and create video testimony of people who are not even real. This is crazy. So let me ask you a question, though. You've been a leader for a long time, right? An entrepreneur. And at the top of that is the leadership. So what was the one defining characteristic that you think made you this excellent leader that you are?
I think it isn't just one thing. I think there's several things that contribute to it. So one is I'm totally transparent because I really aim to be trustworthy. I may be wrong, but I want to be consistent. I want people to know if I said something, I believed it, I'm acting on it. So I think that's one. The second is a willingness to really put myself out there to try to solve problems. Because a big part of leadership is not just telling other people, go solve this. It's figuring out what's our direction, where are things not working, how do we change things? So it's being malleable and willing to say you're wrong, willing to set a path, evaluate the path. I think that's really key for a leader.
Yeah, so you say transparency, and a lot of people use that word I'm transparent. But what it really means to me is that strength of mind, right? To stand up and say, I might have been wrong, or I am wrong, or I don't know, or any of those things that a lot of people who don't have the confidence behind themselves would then morph into something like, you're wrong, I'm blaming you, get defensive and all those things. So behind that ability to be transparent is this incredible courage or confidence. So Alex, where did that come from?
It's a desire to win. So I had a boss who told me, do you want to win or do you want to be right? And that really stuck with me. It's like the people you describe who keep arguing about why they did the right thing are trying to be right. But a lot of times the evidence is showing you're wrong and you're not going to win if you keep doing the wrong thing. And so I really want to win. I don't want to do something that ultimately, it can have lots of failures along the way, but ultimately it has to be positive, made a difference and succeed. That's winning. And you can't do that unless you're upfront about saying when you're wrong. like a lot of companies pivot, right? And pivoting is this interesting thing. We were doing this and we decided to go do this other thing, and that was a lot better. But by definition, you failed with the first thing. That's why you had to pivot. And so as a leader, you need to admit that. It's like, this was our plan. We tried to do this. Here's 5 reasons it didn't work. However, here's a couple things we see that are really interesting that will help us go in a better direction and why this other direction is better. Now let's go do that. And I think nobody expects perfection. It's just dealing with imperfection.
I like that. I like 2 things. They don't want or desire perfection. What they're expecting is somebody who can admit, like, this is the direction we're going, didn't work out. Like, they want that person who has the capacity to do that. And also I just loved it. Like, do you want to win or do you want to be right? And I think, Alex, like, so many people don't even know that most of their struggles, literally most of their struggles, come from their need to be right. So, they're fighting over something that in the big scheme of things, not a big deal. I was right. Oh, but the company lost. Okay, but I was right. So, I think that realization is understanding that your ego cannot be in charge.
You have to have an ego to be a leader, but it can't be controlling everything, right? And that's the real key thing. It's like, we want to win. This is our plan. Is the plan working? If you can't legitimately look at that and answer the question and be able to say no, and here's why it's not working, and here was why I was wrong, you can't ever fix it. Yep. And so that's the really key thing. Your ego's got you, leading people. That's fine, but you've got to realize you're not perfect, and you're going to make mistakes, and you've got to correct them.
Yeah, see that. I mean, this is one of the things. I mean, if you're not an athlete, you didn't grow up with this, but as an athlete, after every game, what do? We watch the game film. And you break it down, right? Here's where we're good. Here's the things we did wrong. Here's how we got to improve. This is where you're great. I mean, it was a consistent, like, it's that testing, kind of, everybody likes to test now. Well, that's what it is. Like, how will you know if you don't review, if you don't have those moments to say, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? What do we want to keep doing? What do we want to stop doing? Where do we need to change? I mean, this is the essence of leadership, isn't it? Is to continue to ask questions about where you are and where you're going.
That's a key. And the other thing is to actually have said exactly where you want to be so you can measure your progress against that. So for us, it's like, did we get a certain number of users with a certain amount of advertising dollars? Did we get a number of customers? Did the customers stick around? What's our growth rate? There's tons of numbers and things that stare you in the face. Are we succeeding or not? We think we're going to do this. We're not doing that. Why not? Where's it going wrong? You have to look at that. And like you said, it's almost like after action reviews. What did we do in the past month? We launched this product feature. How did it work? It didn't do what we expected, but look at this nice little nugget. And then you have to go, what is this nugget? Let's go work on the nugget, and that's the essence of finding the mistakes, finding the victories, and pushing on where you're winning.
Yeah, it means you have to look at the data. There's no way, if you're not looking at the data, you don't know anything. You just don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, it's like putting on blinders. I'm kind of trying to drive a car. Well, that's not going to work very well. And I think there's our leaders who do that, right? They want something so much, and they have this vision of what they want, but they're not measuring, are they getting there? And they're not looking at why we're not making progress. And sometimes it's like also being a writer, right? So when I write things and then, my editor goes, oh, that whole chapter doesn't work. And you're like, oh, but that's my baby. I worked on it so long and so hard, I can't get rid of it. And I think you have to be willing to go, well, okay, I worked on it long and hard and I had this great vision, but it didn't work. So next, what's the next step? What's the next process? What's the next thing?
It's funny you mention that because I'd written some textbooks when I was younger. And when I did the first one, I had this vision of, okay, I'm going to sit down. I've got my notes. I'm organized. I'm going to write it. It'll all be great. And I even read the first chapter I wrote and went, wow, this is bad. And it took me 5 or 6 iterations till I got it to where I could show it to someone else who would then say, wow, this is bad. But after a while, you learn from that process, right? But you have to be prepared to just say, this is a first step. And I view that almost everything you do as a company, this is a step. We're not at the end point. We're not running through a finish line. This is a step. We want this step to try to move us in this direction. So is that a good direction? Is it a good step? What happened?
And so one of the things you talk about, I think, and right now you're really discussing this or showing this in a manner that everybody needs to hear, which is this is about the journey. Like, we all think it's about the end point. And I thought that way for a long time, like, well, now I get there, it's like you'll have arrived. well, in the journey of life, is there, I mean, yes, we reach the end of a chapter and we're like, oh, like that was a good chapter. But it's the book. Like we're not done at the chapter, it's the book. And so you talked a little bit about the journey. So explain to people, what does it feel like to be on the journey? And it's not just the end result, but it's the journey that is the defining moment, or the defining moments of who we are.
The real interesting thing is the journey of an entrepreneur is a lot like the journey of a sports team, where you have victories and you have defeats, and they happen all the time, and they're not permanent. Right? You threw the ball out of bounds. Okay, well, that's a bad thing, but now I'm going to do something better. You have those. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, you have your idea. You start talking to the first few people that this is a dumb idea, right? Like, why are you bothering me? You try to raise money and people say no. Finally, you raise money. You get some money. You build to some success point. Oops, now we're out of money. What are we going to do? Or we launch a product. It should be all these people using it. Oh, people don't like it. Like it's a constant good, bad, good. And that's the journey. But what makes it great is when something goes wrong and you fix it. There's nothing that feels better than that. Or you accomplish something and you get the attaboys. Like for us, it's getting hundreds of thousands of people using a product, or we help shut down a robocall who's doing 100 million calls or 200 million calls a month. Like you do those things, that's a victory. But then the new guy comes on, and it's just a steady journey. And it's really, if you've gone hiking, it's like hiking up a mountain. You go up, you do switchbacks, you go back down through valleys, and eventually you get to the top of the mountain. But the top of the mountain is 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you go back down. It's the 3 days or the 7 days of backpacking to get to the top of the mountain. That's the part you talk about with your friends and your family and your kids for a really long time. And that's the real experience. It's great to get that photo holding the flag, but there's a lot of other work that goes on getting there. And that's the best part.
Right. And I think that we somehow think that the end result is the defining of us. Like that's what everybody else is going to look at. And yes, like I think there's a certain aspect of that. When I say I'm a 2-time Olympian, people go, oh my gosh, like, but you know how long that lasts in somebody's head? Like they'll say, oh, you're 2 times, that's so cool. And that's the end of it. Like they don't say, well, tell me about it, or who did you meet, or how did you do? I mean, most people, it's just like that moment. And so it's more about, they want to know who I am as a person. They want to know, and what created me is not like reaching that pinnacle. It was the journey along the way, right? And then the next journey after that, and the next journey after that. And so it's really funny that we get hung up on that end result so much, which, really passes in somebody else's mind for seconds. And what they want to know is who you are, like who the essence of Alex is, and how does Alex show up, and what is Alex doing to bring better good to the world. I think that's the more of the question that people want to know.
Exactly. When you said you've been a 2-time Olympian, the first questions are, oh, what sport? What drove you to do it? What was the hardest part? Like there's a long list, and not one question is about the outcome. It's all about how did you get there? And sometimes it'll be, oh, Olympian, what did you medal? There'll be other questions, right? But a lot of it is just, how did you get there? Why did you do it? What did you do afterwards? What did you learn from it? You can just see this list of questions that are journey questions.
Yeah. And one of the funny part was, I have to say this too, because this is such a big, like it was a big aha moment for me, Alex, as I come back from 1984 and I'm like going to my hometown. I'm like, I'm an Olympian, kind of like I'm thinking, and people go, this is the question. This is the most asked question that I got was, did you meet Mary Lou Retton, who was the superstar of the 84 Games? And so it wasn't even about anything about me, right? And so that was really humbling. But also perspective, it puts it in perspective, doesn't it? Like it's so much, when we talk about leadership, we talk about like you own your own company, or you're the CEO of a company or whatever. And that's, for other people, for that moment is something big, but for your team members who work with you every day, that's not what's most important in their head.
Absolutely not. They're on a journey, right? That's the thing, is they're doing work. They're coming in. What are they going to do? What are they trying to do? What's the point of it? What are they going to do next? Why are you doing it? Those are all the things they're asking, right? Okay, you're the person who's the boss. Well, you're going to give me answers to all this. You're going to help me along the way. You're going to make sure that the company is funded and growing and I have exciting things to do. That's your job. But I'm on a journey to do these other things and get something out of it.
Right. So as a CEO, you've been an entrepreneur, so I know you've had challenges. I know you've gone through some major challenges. So what is it that drives you through that? Like, is there a philosophy? Is there a belief system? Is there something that helps you when some massive thing comes up, right? And you're like staring you're looking at it. And I know what I do. My first thing is, I'll never get through this. That's my first thought. Now, my second thought is a lot better, right? But what is what do you hang on to, or what kind of belief system, what do you have within your toolkit that says, oh, like, we'll find a way through this?
I think I view it as a problem. I view crises or challenges as problems to be solved, which immediately gets me thinking, okay, what's the definition of the problem? What does it mean to have solved the problem, like the goal? And then what are the next steps I need to do? So I'll give you a good example. I've had a number of companies, these are a number of times with my companies where they're running out of money. Like, you're trying to build a company, you're hiring people, you hire in advance of getting revenue if you want to grow. And so you're sitting there going, oh, well, we've got money for 60 days. We can't get any more money. Our backers said, nope, you figure it out. That is a crisis, right? Because you've got teams of people counting on you, and their families and their kids, everybody's counting on you. You've got customers who've signed up for you, counting on you. What do you do? So what you don't want to do is run into a little corner and crawl up in a ball. You have to say, okay, well, what do I want to do? I want the company to survive this. So what does that mean? Well, I have this much cash coming in. I've got this much cash going out. I now have a problem. How do I lower the cash going out to the cash coming in and make that work, right? And so now you're focused. Now you get the whole team focused on that. And it may be that as part of that, some people are going to get laid off. There's nothing you can do. It may be that if you put in some money, somebody will change, but it becomes a problem. And the great thing about when something is a problem and you're working on a solution is it's tunnel vision. And that gets all the doubts out of the way. It's just, what's the next step? What's the next step? And you get everybody thinking the same way. Right. And we've had multiple times where we've had stuff like this, or contracts canceled. You have to have that problem-solving mindset. And you have to say, oh, well, what I want to be is a super well-funded company that, billions of dollars coming in. It's like, you have to be realistic. It's like, well, look, we think we can get this much money now, not what we thought we needed. With that, what does the world look like? And you put a plan together. And I find that the minute you start attacking it from what is my plan, everything else goes away. And so you may hit challenges doing that, but you're taking action, you're moving forward. It's like if somebody's shooting at you, you don't want to be standing there going, oh, what do I do? It's like, duck, okay, where do I need to get to? And what's the path to get there?
Right.
It's not a fun journey, but that's what you go through. And I think just the fact I view the world a little bit like an engineer, as problems to be solved, right, helps out tremendously.
Well, you can't be in the problem and the solution at the same time, right? So your mind can't have two opposing thoughts and hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. It's got to narrow it down and function in on one thing. And so when you get uber focused, right, and your focus is directly on what you want, like this is what we want versus what you don't want, then you're focused on the problem and you're focused on moving forward. And so you're going to get traction in that effort. Whereas people who are constantly they're only thinking, oh my gosh, like this is like, we'll never get out of this. This is going to be so hard. There's no, like, you're still in the problem. You never moved from the problem to the solution, and you've got to get in the solution mode. You've got to get in the focus mode. So I think that, your engineer brain is very helpful in that. I'm not an engineer brain, but I am a brain that understands that you can't have two opposing things in your head at the same time. Like, I get that. And so being focused. So, you talked about like being able to be in that space of, let's just hunker down and find solutions. Let's just find this. So is that something that you were born with? Is it something that you were taught, you learned along the way? Did you absorb it from other, coaches and mentors, or where did that particular thing come into you?
I think it's a mix of something I've just been born with. My father had been an engineer, so there is some of that. I naturally gravitated towards solving puzzles and building things with Legos and all those kind of things, right? So that's inherent in me. But I think I've just had people I know who've had success with that method, and I've just watched them do it. I've seen other people have problems, and that's how they attacked it, right? I remember in high school, a guy who wanted to go to college and didn't get into any of the colleges he wanted. That's a pretty big crisis. So my high school, not so much. A lot of people didn't go to college, but it was, in his mind, a horrible thing. But he said, okay, well, what is my path to get into college? I need to have better grades. I have to go to a community college. Okay, what community college? How am I going to do it? And very quickly, he laid out a plan of his goal. He ended up going to a really nice university on year 3, right? So I think things like that, where you see the success of that, And I naturally don't like people who just complain and don't take action. It just frustrates me. And so I have to apply that to myself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the thinking, because to me, every great leader has the ability to train their mind to go the direction they want the mind to go, right? So we know that your actions only follow thought. Your actions just don't happen. They're following the thought process. And so if we have the right thought process, we can get the right actions. What I've noted is really good leaders have been able to train their mind, just like you're going to train an athlete, right? We train our minds to go a certain direction. So having said that, is there anything that you do? Like, do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you, go exercise to help your mind? I mean, what ways do you help train your mind to get it in the spaces that you need to have it so that success is, that it's always possible for you?
So the really interesting thing is I solve problems all day long, every day now for, 20 years. And so my day is solving problems. Like, a lot of leadership is solving a problem. Like, someone comes to you and said, hey, we need some money to do this. How do we make our trade-off? And so my mind has just gotten into that mode. And I think the minute you're an entrepreneur, you start becoming in solving problem mode, and it reinforces itself. And so for me, I think the key thing is sometimes is to get out of solving problem mode and go, I just need to stop thinking about this for a minute. There's a problem. Let me go do something else and come back. And so then I have things like, I love to just pick up my guitar and I'll just play. Yeah, and just not even think about any particular song, just play along, do whatever I'm going to do. Do that for 10 minutes, my head's clear. I love walking my dog. That's an amazing thing for clearing my head. The number of times I've come back and solved something or made a lot of progress after doing that. So a lot of it's escapism. It's finding the right way to escape everything briefly when something's in the back of your head. I know people talk about, singing in the shower. I don't want to embarrass anybody with that, so I don't, but it's the same idea.
Right. It's that moment that I think sometimes we're pushing, right? So I like it to that we're trying to solve the problem, so we're push. And there's a place when we push so hard that resistance becomes part of the push, right? And so it's that awareness that as we hit the resistance, and you'll feel it in your body, as we hit the resistance, now we need to turn and we need to stop. It's the moment to stop and to refocus, refocus your energy on something that's relaxing, something that's enjoyable, something that is totally off that thing. But what I've seen many people do is they don't have this awareness that they're in resistance, right? And so they're like, well, I just have to fight through it. And I think that when we fight, it's actually creating more of what we don't want.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think it ties down to people don't always know when they're stuck, right? Like, that's the key thing is, like, there could be this big fence in front of you or big wall, and you're just pounding on the wall and you're stuck because you're not making any progress. And you don't go, well, let me back up 5 feet. Oh, well, the wall only goes 3 other feet. I'll go around it. And I think that's a big problem because you just get so hyper-focused, which is good and bad, but you're so hyper-focused on trying to solve something, you can't back up for a minute. And the other thing that people have struggled to do, and that I find when I get away from screens and I'm just guitar playing or doing something else, is I'm willing to back up from what is the problem I'm solving. Like, is my problem actually to go through this wall at this point, or is my problem to get 10 feet on the other side, right? Because then there's a lot of options. And so I find myself relaxing a bit. And when I relax myself, it relaxes my brain, which relaxes the problems the brain's thinking about. And for me, that's really helpful. So I'd encourage people, just if you feel like you're stuck, you are, and back up, do something else, and then ask yourself, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? And be open to maybe it's a different problem.
I think that's so beautiful because, I coached college basketball for 23 years, and I would see players, because I heard this, no pain, no gain. And so they would believe that they had to push themselves even harder to get to the end result. And I was like, we need to push lighter. You need to be in a better space because you're pushing so hard, you're trying too hard. And now you've got yourself in a very resistant place and you can't see. I mean, literally, like, there were games I was like, oh, we're just trying too hard. We're trying too hard. How do you try less hard? And I don't think if people understand that concept, they just keep pushing because, there's things that we learn like no pain, no gain, or look, you have to work harder than anybody else in the world to succeed, which is crazy because how would you know what somebody else in the world is doing? But we learn these things, which to us means push, even to the point of like burnout and, people get overwhelmed and people quit their jobs and people get disease. I mean, it's that kind of balance that we need to learn a little bit more. So talk about balance. What does that look like for you?
I think for me, balance is making sure there's a decent amount of time every day that I'm doing something I want to do. Like just independently, I completely want to do it. I'm relaxed doing it, whether it's dinner with the family or walking a dog. So balance for me is just trying to look at things at a daily, weekly, monthly level. How much time do I have for stuff that I really want to do? Doesn't have to do with the job. I love my job, but it's something different than the job. And that makes a big difference. That's why I force myself. I'll go skiing. I'll do other things just to kind of get away. And everybody's different. Some people I know say, oh, I need an hour of balance a day, or I need 10. I don't need that. I just mentally know when my head's not there anymore. Like it's like the marginal progress is really slow. You were going at 10 miles an hour. Now you're going at 5. Now you're going at 2. Now you're going at 1. Now you're going nowhere. And you have to just say, you know what? I should be operating at 5 to 10 miles an hour. I'm not. I'm going to pause until I get to the point I can do that again.
Yeah, I think it's a great key is that, everybody finds balance a different way. And so there's no one way for anybody to find the balance. And for some people, they want it every day. They need that extra, and I encourage people. I've had CEOs that I talk to, and they're like, I can't take an hour out to go work out. And I go, yeah, you need it. Use that hour as part of your work. That's part of your work day. So that hour that you go work out is part of your work day because it's refreshing you, it's rejuvenating you, it's giving you the opportunity to reinvent whatever it is problem that you have in front of you. Don't think of it as like you're escaping, like you're not working, because I would say that's an hour that you're doing that's helping you become the most effective and efficient person that you can become out there.
And I think it's a really interesting thing too, because everybody can define what it means to work out. Right? Like a workout could be you've got weights and you're on the treadmill and you're doing all that. For other people, it's, hey, I went on a 25-minute walk on the beach, or I rode my bike for 10 minutes. It's exercise, you're out, that may be enough, and that's good. And everybody's got to actually sit and go, well, I'm stuck because I don't have 2 hours to work out. Well, no one has 2 hours, but go find something smaller, simpler, get in the mode, and then you find you get to where you need to be.
Yeah. Well, I think that when we put ourselves in, we want to put ourselves in a program. If, somebody says you have to do this, well, forget that. I think that you have to invent for yourself and give yourself permission to believe it. I think that's the other part, right? So if you can say, 20 minutes of walking my dog every day is exactly what I need to be healthy, and you believe that's exactly what you need to be healthy, then you're in the right mind frame. But if you're saying, I'm going to walk my dog 20 minutes, but it's really not enough, and I feel bad about it, and I feel guilty about it, and now, I did 20, but I should have done 60, you're not going to get the same results.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Unfortunately, my dog tells me when he's done, but and we've kind of worked our thing out. But you're absolutely right. I think some people try to put too much structure and try to plan everything out. And one thing when you're leading a company is nothing turns out like your plan, ever. And so if you're a person who's planned every last thing out, you're doomed. You have to say, look, here's my rough guide, got a guide, here's how I'm going to do some stuff, and let me evaluate and know that you're probably wrong every step of the way, and it's how you deal with it. And I think a key to being a good leader is being able to not be in that super structured mode and live kind of between all of those little things you had. What was it Lenin said, life is what happens when you're making other plans. Leading is a company is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think that what you talked about was being adaptable and flexible, right? I mean, you have to have a direction. You have to have a North Star. That's you can't have a company if you don't have a direction, a North Star. Everybody's lined up or going the same direction. And, at any time there's going to be detours. And you can't sit there and be mad at a detour. That's part of the process. How do we adapt to this? How do we find a way around it? How do we sit in it? If we have to sit in an hour, how can we sit in it and be comfortable for the hour of, when we can't go, oh, we lost all this time. It's like, you have to understand that moving forward is always being in that flexible flow of things. And the more comfortable you are with the flexible flow, the more likely the flow is going to go the right direction.
That's right. And know that you've planned, you've worked, you've gotten ready to handle what's going to happen. I do a fair amount of speaking and things at conferences. I've had people who ask me, like, how are you comfortable up there? Like, what do you do before? How do you prepare? And I go, well, there's two kinds of preparation. There's before the conference, I put my slides together, I put my topic together, I did a bunch of homework, right? What I want to say and what I want to get out of it. When I'm at the conference, the last thing I do is even think about my talk. Like before the talk, I'm talking to people, I'm hanging out, oh, there's the bell, I got to go up. And that's really key because it forces the preparation early. I'm not sitting there a minute before a talk going, oh, what am I going to say? What was I supposed to say on slide 2? Like, you can't do that. So I think it really helps to have that attitude everywhere.
Right. I agree. I think that it's the preparation. So the preparation for me, like, oh man, I was always a super prepared coach. My players often tell me, like, you prepare us like more for a game than most professors prepare us for that final test, right? We're always prepared. We know what we need to do. We know the keys of the game. We know that if we do the keys of the game, they're going to win the game. We know, like, without a doubt. And then they also know that in the game never is going to flow like you thought it was going to flow. So we would often say to people, to our players, like, we'd say this, like, you know what the keys to the game are. We practice for them all week long. And the game is always unpredictable because we're going to have that player that we prepared for that we said she can't make a 3-point shooter. And all of a sudden she nails 3. Well, now we have to defend differently. We can't just keep saying, and I actually saw coaches do this. Don't defend her. She's not a 3-point shooter. And they nail like 7. I'm like, look, she's only a 3-point shooter for that game, but for that game, we have to play that way. So even though there's a large preparation on one end and we feel really comfortable, I think the other part was feeling comfortable about not knowing what was going to happen, like being comfortable with that piece too, right? Because if you're on stage and you're speaking, somebody might ask a question that you weren't prepared for. The lights might go out, the microphone goes out, the PowerPoint doesn't work, like all of it. But because you're super prepared, I think that allows you to be more in the flex mode.
It's funny. What taught me that was actually not being a leader. It was the first time I was ever going to be a TA for a class. And I was so scared of getting in front of a class. I think I was like 21 at the time. I prepared copious notes of exactly what I was going to say for this hour. I was leading a discussion. I had all this stuff written down. I'd planned it. I knew what I was going to say. I had my notes. I could use them. Well, what happened was it rained really hard going from my apartment to the class, and everything got soaking wet, and I couldn't use any of it. I'm soaking wet, right? I'm walking completely wet, and I just told everybody, well, I had all these notes planned, so we're just going to have to see how this goes. And it was the best I ever did. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, what was I supposed to do first? Oh, yeah, I'm going to cover this topic, right? So let me introduce you. And that taught me that one experience was like, it was all the prep. I had so much prep, I didn't even need notes. I needed nothing. I could just do it. And then, people were asking questions. It was very natural. So that was a lesson at 21 that stuck with me is when you were coaching, put all the effort ahead of time, and then you'll be ready whatever comes.
Yeah. I mean, I think the preparation is the key because the preparation is what gives you confidence. And that's what people are looking for in a leader. They're looking for a leader who has the confidence to say, I've heard of whatever you have. I've given you all you an opportunity to speak. I've listened to you, and we're going to go this way. Because at the end, you have to make the decisions. Nobody's going to, not that you don't get all the information that you want, but a leader has to be the person who says, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. Right? You have to make the call.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, you have to set the direction. You can listen to everybody, but once you set the direction, you have to tell everybody, this is what we're going to do. But really importantly, what a lot of people forget is you want to say, here's how we're going to evaluate if it's the right decision. At whatever the right time frame for us, it'll be a month, 2 month, 3 month. Okay, we gave certain people new roles. We're going to evaluate them in those roles this way. This is what they're supposed to have done. Let's see if this worked. And I think a lot of people forget and go, yeah, I made a decision. It's like, well, but did you make the right one? And so we're really disciplined about looking at things and saying, are we on track? And how far off are we off track? Nothing's perfect, but does this seem like it's a big improvement? Where are things going a little differently? That's super key.
Well, because you're constantly looking at the numbers, you're looking at the data, you're making decisions not just based on some like, oh, I think the market will like this. What kind of like, you don't know what the market's going to do. You have to think about what is the data that's showing you, and so let's follow the numbers. That's what they always say: follow the numbers, because if you follow the numbers, you're going to get. I mean, maybe not the total answer, but you've got data to make a better direction or a better move to the next place.
It's not only the numbers. It's also, remember, there's always dissenters. There's always people who aren't confident that you're going in the right way, and they said why you should do something else. The only way to handle and lead them is say, look, you may be right. I'm making this decision. It's my call, but we will evaluate. And you said these things. If we see those things, we know we made the wrong decision, and we'll course correct. I need you to come along for this path. I've had that where I put somebody in a role and they're feeling, oh, that guy can never do the role. I don't know why you're doing that. That's a huge mistake. It's going to be a disaster. Okay, so what would you say he should have done in this first month or 2 months? Well, they should do these things. Okay, that's our contract. Then after a month, well, how's he doing? Wow, he did those things and 4 others. It's awesome. And so, but they felt listened to. There was a path to say, we're going to go back and do what you said. And I think most times that's all people need is, well, was I listened to? And if I was right, is someone going to acknowledge it? If so, then I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on what they're doing.
You know, when you say it, it sounds so easy. Like, I just love it. You say it so, oh yeah, this is just kind of matter of fact. And what I've discovered from coaching leaders is, for a lot of people, that's hard. It's hard to give control over. It's hard to admit you're wrong. It's hard to say to the dissenters, listen, we're going to go this way. We're going to evaluate it. And if you're right, like, we will go your direction. We'll acknowledge you. We'll go your direction. It sounds so simple. And I think that leadership does sound simple. It's just not easy for some folks because other things get in their way, right? They need to prove to prove their worth, to prove to their stakeholders, to, what if we fail? Like, all that stuff becomes it gets in their way. I mean, this is really about how do you become the best person that you can become, so that you can become the best leader that you can become.
You're absolutely right. And one of the big things that I think you have to remember as a leader is, just because you're deluded, everybody else on your team is not deluded. They see what's actually happening, and you're going to lose a lot of trust. And so it's much better to say, okay, do we all agree this is happening? Yes. Okay. So there's no, and you have that conversation and you make everything fairly transparent, right? So that helps. Everybody knows what's actually happening. It's very hard, and it doesn't make any sense to hide stuff.
Yeah, but again, like I just, when I was young, I was like, I have to know it all. I've got to, to listen to me, they all have to know that I know it. And later in my career, I was like, okay, what do you guys think? I mean, it was just like such a different pivot. And, I found that people took more ownership of the team. They felt better. They were more motivated. They played better and all that kind of stuff. And that truly, like any of the things I talk about in terms of, athletic teams, applies to teams of any kind. Right? I mean, because it's a team, and team dynamics are team dynamics no matter what. And so you have to think about what creates a good team dynamic.
You're absolutely right. And that actually brings up one of the things I've realized was a weakness in my leadership style, which is hogging the ball, right? So it's like, you really want something to work. Somebody's not doing it. It's like, I'm going to take that. I'll just do it and make it go. And I've really had to force myself over the last 6 months to a year to just stop doing that and have the conversation. Hey, you know what? You need to pass the ball. You need to do whatever it is. You've got to be doing your job. I can't be jumping in and doing it. And it's like, I can help you. I can do things, but you have to ask for help. You have to say what it is. We have to agree that I can fulfill this for everybody. And that's been the hardest thing for me to do. It's just, sometimes you let the ball go out of bounds, right? Like, you let somebody make a mistake and you see it coming. And as long as it's not too bad, I find that people really learn from that. And just letting that happen is really hard. It's like parents with kids, right? You have to let your kids fail.
Well, you can't rescue all the time. If you rescue, then you're making them less powerful, right? So as soon as you step into rescue, then they go, oh, Alex can do it. He'll do it for me. And they do less and less and less and less. And so,
exactly.
Yeah,
the comfort zone becomes really small. And it's like, I'm just going to do the next step. I'm going to do the next step. No, now you own this, and I'm not going to save you. And come back with a plan and let me know when you're falling behind. And it's been a real challenge. I think I'm there, but it's taken 6 months to a year, a very conscious effort to just step back.
So I love what you had a consciousness, you had a conscious awareness, right? I mean, this is the thing about great leaders is they have this conscious awareness of things that they need to improve on, and they're unafraid to A, admit it, and to B, to do something about it. Because it's just I think as we age, we think we know who we are. I mean, this is the thing people always say, like, you talk about self-awareness. I lived with myself for 45 years. You think you don't know? I know who I am. I'm like, okay. So I'm still discovering things about me, and I'm in my 60s. I'm still like uncovering. I'm like, how did I not know that about myself? How did I not know? But I think that great leaders are the ones who are like willing to really dig down into what's still in front of them that's an obstacle. How can they improve and get beyond that? And so they're willing to admit that they have this, and they're willing to work on it, right? It's it's the separator from, the top, let's say it's the top 20% to the top 3%. That's the separator.
I think it comes down to listening, at least, and it's listening not just to what people say, but listening to data, listening to what's happening in the world, the whole thing. So for me, where I realized I was hogging the ball is one day I had so many emails and so many Slacks and texts, and I'm just like, gosh, why am I involved in any of this stuff? And I'm like, I kind of looked at it, I'm like, I'm not gonna get this done. I got to go do something with my son. What do I do here? And that kind of opened my eyes to, okay, I'm clearly encouraging this. I want people to talk to me, but they're having me make decisions they shouldn't. They're having me address, okay, there's something wrong. Like, it wasn't obvious exactly the hogging the ball thing right away, but that there was a problem I needed to solve just came from that moment. And, I think it was listening to that. I didn't just go, let me just delete all the email. Okay, good, problem solved. It was like, okay, what's going on here? And, I think that's key everywhere. When people say something, at least listen. You may not agree, but give them the real listening of what they're trying to get across. And if there's data of some kind, listen to it. And I think that can be a learned skill. Like, you can learn to listen by just counting for 5 seconds before you talk, right? Like in a meeting, like that's just 1, 2, and you'd be surprised there's no gap. Somebody else filled it. It's learnable, but I think it's something you have to want. You have to be willing to listen. Leadership isn't just talking, it's listening and then having the conversation and leading the conversation.
Exactly. And it all comes back down to that moment of, I think, that your strength to have the self-reflection and to admit to yourself, like, okay, I've got all these emails. So what's the common denominator that I'm having all these emails? Oh, it's me. Like, it's that moment of like not blaming other people, but really looking at it in terms of self-reflection and going, well, then it's me. So if it's me, how do I solve the problem? Like, the coolest thing is to recognize that it's you. And because it's you, you have the power to resolve it. That's the coolest thing ever. Like, it's not something else. It's like you have the power to become something different or do something different. And that comes through, I think, the ability to self-reflect. And that's what you looked at all the emails, you're like, well, I need to think about this a second. It's self-reflection.
I think that's really important. You're right. It's self-reflection. I was thinking of another case where people were talking about, well, we just haven't gotten this done. We don't have the resources to get this done. We can't do this. We can't do that. And it's kind of like, okay, then focus on this. And at one point I was like, wait a minute. We're not solving the right problem, which is, why are there all these things that aren't resourced? And we're instead doing little things. Let's stop and go have that conversation. Again, that was me. It's like, I've encouraged a culture of, well, let me make sure I make progress. And people pick small things instead of tackling the big things. Let's stop doing all the small things and do one big thing. And it took a while to see that too. It's like it builds up over time where you're suddenly like, we're not getting the most important stuff done. Why? Mm-hmm. Right? Well, I guess we don't have any research. Well, no, that's not true. We have 80 people at the company, so something's wrong here, right? So it takes a while to see that though, because it's like little things, and then all of a sudden you're looking at stuff going, hey, there's a pattern here.
Well, I think that's the key to learning something is the pattern. What's the pattern telling me, right? What is the pattern about? And that's what people, when you go through life, you're gonna have life patterns, right? So for some people, it might be that you're in your 4th marriage, right? So, and you're like married to the same kind of person, and you're like, wait a second, there's a pattern here. Like, I keep getting remarried and I'm still not happy. Well, okay. So the thing to fix is you, right? It's not that the other person might not be contributing somehow, but why are you keep getting the same kind of things? Like, that's the patterning that we need to pay attention to. When pattern shows up, if we pay attention to the pattern, we have a really huge capacity at that moment to make a huge leap in our wisdom.
You're so right. It reminds me of a story. It was one of my old professors told me, which is he started by saying people always go look where the light is. And then I go, well, why not? There's a light, you can see stuff. He goes, well, let me tell you a story. There's a drunk who lost his keys and he's walking around looking for the keys under the street light, and everybody's helping. They said, well, where did you drop your keys? Oh, over there somewhere. Why are you here? Well, this is where the light is. And that has stuck with me for a really long time. Like if you're just constantly going in the same pattern, you need to look somewhere else. There's something else. You're looking for your keys, not where you drop them.
Exactly. So Alex, this has been phenomenal. I mean, I just love it. I love it. I love it. If there's one thing that you want listeners to know that we haven't covered, what would that be?
So I think the big thing is that if you want to go do something, go do it, and just realize it's not going to be a smooth sailing sort of thing. So you have to decide, what do I really want? What's my first step? And am I committed to taking a bunch of other steps and dealing with problems? You can't plan it all out. But that shouldn't ever prevent you from trying to go after something you think you might really want.
Yeah, I think, I always dreamed of being an Olympian when I was a kid. And if anybody would have told me every step I would have had to take to get there, I would have never done it. Like there's just no way that you would have ever done it. You have to have some idea and a belief system that goes with the idea, and then be able to make adjustments along the way. But if you knew everything that you had to do, just think about it. If you knew everything that you would have had to done to be a successful entrepreneur, and it would have all been laid out in front of you, you would have been so overwhelmed. You'd be like, yeah, never mind. I'm not going to do that. That's just crazy.
Exactly. I might as well just take a salary job, do something I kind of like, and someone else has all these worries. But in the satisfaction, there is some huge satisfaction when you climb a mountain, or you go in the Olympics, or we had a ski racer that took our kids out at Whistler one day as a private guide. And he told my son, he said, I was in the Whistler Olympics. I really loved it. It was all my family. And my son goes, well, how'd you do? What position are you coming against? Well, I crashed. And I said, oh, that must have sucked. He goes, my family saw me. I raced, I practiced, I made the Olympics. That moment sucked, but not everything else. And I thought that was such a compelling way to look at things. I think we all have to remember the moment sucked, but not everything else. And you're going to have so many good times along the way. Pick something you want to go after. Know it might be hard. Try it out.
So Alex, this is great. If somebody had a question, like at the end of this, and they're like, oh man, I'd like to ask Alex one more question, how would they reach you? Through LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. I'm on Twitter as Malibu Alex. I'm Alex at YouMail. I don't mind letting people know. I don't think the spam bots are going to take my email address from your podcast. I'm happy to help people with their thoughts and talk to people.
This has been amazing. So folks, look, you're learning from some of the best of the best of the best. So please take the moment to share with other people so that other people have access to this wonderful information. And so everybody, hey, have a winning day, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.